Hello, everyone. Welcome to Flux Dev Meeting, April 6th, 2023. Anyone want to start and kick off the meeting?
I can start.
Okay.
Okay. So today is a big day. We released Flux 2.0 GA release candidate 1. And while it's a release candidate, it also comes with stable versions of the GitOps related APIs in Flux, namely Git repository, customization, and receiver. And we've also stabilized the Flux Bootstrap commands and all things related to Bootstrap, install, uninstall, and so on. Why is this still a release candidate and it's not 2.0.0? The reason for this is that we still have things to work on. For example, getting the Terraform provider in shape. Deal with, I don't know, renovate bot and other issues related to Bootstrap. If no, I don't know, major bugs or things like issues on upgrade or Bootstrap issues are reported till the end of the month, we'll probably go ahead and do the final G release. Please check out the release notes. The upgrade should be straightforward. You can upgrade from any v0 something version to the latest one. I know we had 170 releases until now, and I think people can upgrade from basically any version. If you read the changelog and you modify your things, you remove the deprecated fields. That's basically the only change you have to do. Things should go smoothly. Yes, Rashid.
Hey, Stefan. When did you say the anticipated GA release date is?
Date. We don't.
Or like, what is the anticipation in like, a month or two or, a few weeks?
Yeah, I think we will revisit at the end of the month and see where we at.
Okay. Cool.
I don't expect any changes to the APIs. So the APIs as they are released today, they are V1. They are not release candidates or whatever. So the API spec is quite done, but we still need to figure out other things like, as I said, Terraform is the biggest issue for me at this point, our provider. Another thing that we have on the as a big to-do before doing GA is figuring out the long-term support pledge. I made a pull request in the Flux repo around that, where we basically explain what's the Flux relationship with Kubernetes, how often we do releases, when we do releases, and which release is compatible with which other release, and so on. So we really need to have those documents ready, merged, published on the website before we can say, yes, Flux is GA, because without a long-term support pledge, GA is meaningless. It's just another version. And put the link here to the issue, the pull request I'm talking about. is this one. Tindong, can you add it to the doc as well?
Sure.
This is the biggest to do basically before GA. Yeah, so if you are coming to KubeCon this month, please join our talks. We have a Flux Dev Meeting the first day of KubeCon. It's a full day event. We also have a Flux booth at the project pavilion, sponsored by CNCF, and some of the Flux team that will be there will be at the booth around the clock, and there are also other talks around Flux. I have a talk with Hide around Gitless Flux and where Flux and OCI are going after we do all the GA things, of course. Any other questions around this release candidate?
I think a good segue is to talk about the Terraform provider, I guess.
Yeah.
Talk about GA. The PR that Sunny did looks good now, and it passed. We kind of figure out why the end-to-end tests weren't, or the specific upgrade test wasn't passing. So I'll replace that with a better test, really. But that's kind of an interesting aspect of the Flux CLI is going to have the same issue where you can't install pre-GA versions of Flux with a GA version of the Flux CLI.
You can.
You can't.
You can.
Is there a test for it, or?
So the Flux CLI has a hidden flag called manifest.
Sorry?
The CLI has a hidden flag called manifests, where you basically do a git checkout of all the release, and you do Flux install, Flux bootstrap, this manifests, and it doesn't look at versions and nothing, it just applies.
Well, the issue is with the bootstrap logic is that it uses, like, for example, the reconcile customize sync uses v1 of customize, which means that if you're installing a pre-GA version of Flux,
right.
Yeah, we're basically, and this is what caused the crash in the Terraform provider, was that there's now a cutoff point where basically any release of Flux pre-GA, you cannot do -- version bootstrap with that. We're basically breaking that.
But Flux bootstrap does not allow you to.
It doesn't?
Flux the CLI does not allow you to bootstrap different minor versions.
Okay, yeah. In that case,
that's already sorted out in the CLI. We don't allow that.
Yeah.
How can you do it is like use the GitHub action, set an older version of the CLI, run bootstrap with the old one, change it to the latest in the second action, and that's how you can test it. It's quite simple with the GitHub action.
Yeah.
What I really want to discuss, I talked a little bit with Sunny before the meeting. Is Sunny here?
Yeah, he's here.
Hello.
Well, yeah, so I also talking to GitLab people, I'm very, very concerned around what we tell people to do with Terraform. So GitLab is pointing people for production use, do not use the CLI, use the Terraform provider and the GitLab tutorial, which is on the Terraform marketplace or what registry, which is the worst outcome ever, because people will then have to use the kubectl provider. They can't customize Flux, all the things, all the issues.
GitLab is pointing I'm trying to understand this right. From where is GitLab pointing towards the?
So GitLab is recommending their users to
Yeah.
use Flux Terraform provider, and
Okay.
right.
Yeah. In that case, they should really just point to the new guide I've written.
But we don't have the new guide.
Yeah, I've written it.
It's not in the.
Okay, it's not in the, yeah, we don't have a release for it, which is the issue of like
So there are many issues here. The new guide, for example, doesn't even, for GitHub that we have published, doesn't even render the title because it conflicts with the other one.
Yeah, I've seen that. I'm creating a PR to fix that with and adding the GitLab bootstrap thing. It's a weird issue I haven't seen before. So the new GitLab guide, like the GitLab should be able to point to the new GitLab guide that I've written. And basically go use this, because I've run that and tested that, and that's like no issue at all.
Yes,
so
but what we have to do is get rid of duplicate guides. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm looking right now and I see bootstrap a cluster with GitHub,
Yes.
bootstrap with GitHub. It's like,
but it's like that's like one of the points I have in the docs, which is I know there have been voices raised in regards to deprecating the data source. But honestly, it's like after having our discussions about, for example, alternatives. So one of the main complaints about deprecating the data sources is, well, I'm only installing Flux with Terraform. I have no interest in bootstrapping. And in those situations, I don't think I've created a PR for it. I have a branch I've created that adds a guide that basically goes, this is how you install Flux with the Helm chart and the Helm provider instead, which would solve that use case. And I think that's fine, because great, then we can go, if you only want to install, great, use the Helm chart, because there's no real purpose of having the Terraform provider. It just creates complexity. Then I've seen a few very, very weird edge cases where people use the provider in methods I have never thought people would use it in.
yeah, I've seen that. But
and in those cases, like, honestly, I don't have time to support those use cases. It like, to be realistic, I like, my time is limited and I need to focus on the things that the majority of the people use. So yeah, I have no issue deprecating the data sources.
yeah, if people are using the Terraform provider to do things outside of Bootstrap, that's out of the scope of the project.
Yeah. So
what I propose we do today, before we do the release, is, I don't know, move the guides out, have only 2 guides around the Bootstrap thing, or move this guy somewhere else, I don't know where, add a deprecation notice on it, but they should. I mean, if I'm starting today with Flux, I go on Twitter, I see, oh, there is a Flux release candidate, I want to try this out, and I'm going to the Terraform docs, I will do the worst thing ever. I will start using kubectl, which is right.
So
we need to
my suggestion there is at least to do a so you can do subcategories in the Terraform docs. So create a sub, and I know that if you add the subcategory deprecated, it will place that subcategory at the end of all the guides.
Great. That's great.
So that's like the first step of just basically going deprecate, and at the same time in the same PR, add a deprecation notice to the data sources and go, in the future, we will remove this. You should follow this migration guide. That's going to solve 99% of our problems, really. And then updating the website and pointing towards the correct guides, because then we remove all the old guides, or we hide away the old guides, and we get to move forward with doing things properly. It's just that, yeah, if there is consensus in deprecating the data sources, I have no issue. I think there are going to be some people who are going to be pissed, but reality is, like, who's going to support it?
Yeah. Like I'm all for deprecation, as I created that issue also, and
Yeah, I know it's the only thing there that is in the GA issue that you've created is Bitbucket support. I've looked. There is no official Bitbucket Terraform provider, and there is the existing Bitbucket Terraform providers don't allow you to create deploy keys that have write access, which kind of doesn't work with Flux. There is an issue where somebody has discussed this, and I've looked at it and I've been like, yeah, no, this is like technically not possible to do it properly. Like, I don't know how people have done it before, and I don't think, what is it, Atlassian has interest in writing a provider themselves. So it's either finding the most supported Bitbucket provider out there and fixing it, or asking somebody in the community to fix it. But I don't think it should be part of the GA because it's like, it's too much work right now just
Yeah.
fixing some provider.
I have deleted that task from
Yeah,
to-dos.
good. But it's like deprecating the data sources, fixing the documentation, and updating the website. It's like that gets us like 99% there of just like
Yeah,
getting
yeah, I
people to do the
totally
right
agree.
thing. Yeah.
So basically all the things in guides which contain bootstrap a cluster, bootstrap a GKE,
Yeah.
whatever, this will
They'll
not
end
be
up in a
shared.
deprecated section, which will be hidden, or it won't be hidden. It will be available to
Yeah.
users, but it won't be something that's going to show up as like something reasonable that, oh yeah, you should look at this.
Yeah,
but
then
it-
there is customized Flux guide, which
Yeah.
is using the old thing, which
Yeah.
really doesn't work. So this must
Yeah, we'll replace it. We'll deprecate it and then replace it with a new one that shows customizing Flux with the
yeah, I think we have that documented on the resource,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you're
And
just taking this bit and put it there.
I just have to finish my guide and verify that it works. So basically going, this is how you install Flux with Terraform if you're not interested. Like, I think it's a reasonable guide to still have in the provider for people who want to install with Terraform, but don't want to do the bootstrapping thing. I like, even if it's out of scope, I think it's still reasonable to
Yeah.
have a guide. Just to have like an easy link to point to for issues created in the future. Yeah, but if there isn't any real arguments against deprecating it, I'm fine doing it.
Yeah, so what I put in the issue is deprecate Flux install and Flux in data source and point people to the community Helm charts.
Yeah.
So instead of just pointing people to the community Helm charts, but I don't think you have time to do it today. That's for another release, right? Write another guide on, hey, if you just want to install Flux or you want to create Git repositories and customizations on the fly, use
Yeah,
the Helm
those are,
Terraform.
I just thought about writing a simple guide, and in the migration guide adding, yeah, if you have this use case and you're considering migrating to the new resource, read this instead.
Okay.
But it's like, let's do one PR that just deprecates and updates the guides.
Are you doing it, or is Sunny doing it, or how?
I can do it. I can do it now. So
Okay, great.
I'm also not familiar with their markup. They have some special notations. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, I also see that GitHub complains, right? GitHub, when you try to read on GitHub has all these errors. Like, this is not YAML. This is not. So that's the reason, right? It's because of Terraform markup.
I think so. It does some custom stuff there with the docs generation.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll create like two PRs to do the separate things. But it's good that we have consensus. That's kind of, I haven't wanted to do it before, because looking at the bootstrap resource right now, it works well for me. It's like there are smaller issues which like continually we fix, but it's like minus the weird edge case use cases, there aren't really that many like kind of bigger complaints.
It's a major step forward from what we had before. So
Yeah,
I'm not complaining in any way. It's anyway, we are doing a release candidate. We still have plenty of time to fix edge cases or whatever in the future.
Great.
One last thing. So after you do the docs PR, lastly, please do the release PR and add to the change log. Besides, yes, Flux version, whatever, all your other pull requests, because I think you've added timeouts
Yeah,
to everything, and that's a really nice feature. And there were other improvements as well.
there were some other things. The timeouts one was like it got delayed because there were issues with the actual framework, and I had to discuss some things with HashiCorp there to figure out like schema issues. But testing the timeouts, it solved a lot of issues where if you have, for example, a very slow Git repo or whatever, being able to just say, yeah, timeout after an hour is kind of nice, a nice thing to have. So, but yeah, I'll add that. But it's I'll try to create the PR today.
Great, thank you very much.
Oh, should we merge the RC PR
Yes.
in that case? The only thing I have to just read up on is the behavior that happens with provider releases and release candidates. Because the thing I don't want is people, you can like do version like you do in other things. You can do like Semver, what's it called? Version limitations where you can go like greater than equal to. So I don't want people who are using the latest provider version to just randomly go, you're using a release candidate now.
Why not?
Sorry?
So release candidate 1 is what people should upgrade from 0 to 25, right?
Yeah, exactly. But if people like, I like, do we want people to use this in production now?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Yeah. in that case.
Renovate bot has the same restriction. I'm not sure if you're aware. It's not upgrading people to the release candidate.
Yeah.
That's their problem because they don't implement Semver correctly. V0 is a release candidate.
Yeah.
Is V0. That's the Semver spec. So I don't know.
But Stefan, I guess it's a difference between, you know, you can be right, but you're still not right because people implemented incorrectly.
Yeah, so basically upgrading from V0 to V whatever release candidate should definitely work. If not, yeah, people should hard code the version. I don't know what to say, but
no, it's
everybody
just
should move.
Like, should the release be a pre-release, for example, in GitHub? Is it meant to be a pre-release? Like GitHub has like releases, but like proper pre-releases, or should it just be like?
All of our releases are marked as pre-releases because they're pre-releases.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, right, Stefan? They are.
Yes, everything. Yeah. V0 by Semver definition is a pre-release.
Yeah.
It's not a release. You start releasing from V1 or V2 or whatever. V0 is experimental all the way. So you upgrade from an experimental version to a release candidate, which is way better. So yeah, anyway,
that's not really the way we treat Flux users anyway, though. It's just look out for breaking changes in minor releases, which we'll be doing away with soon, right? So Rashid?
Hey guys, I don't know. Are you guys? Is it time to switch the topics, or are you?
Sounds like
guys
a
still?
good time to switch topics.
Okay, cool. Hey, I wanted to ask a very silly, perhaps question. Is like the support of Git LFS large file systems. Does the current version of this Git repository API or in the Flux source controller, does it support Git LFS? And is there any docs or something I can learn a little bit more about it?
No, we don't support that. That should be added to Go Git.
Okay.
We use Go Git. We don't use Git, right? So Go Git is a pure Go implementation of the Git protocol. And but why would you have large files in Flux? I mean,
this is a like, there are some customers that are using monorepos, and they're raising that question, and I didn't want to assume an answer. I wanted to ask you guys and see what was the
so for
direction.
those that want to connect Flux to a monorepo where they have, I don't know, machine learning models, tons of code, and some YAML, they shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be pointing Flux to the Git repo. What we recommend people is that instead of doing that, they should be using Flux the CLI to push only the YAMLs to a container registry of their choice and tell Flux to synchronize the app there. From there.
From an OCI image, OCI spec.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
And that works with, I don't know, do they have GitLab on-prem? It works with the GitLab registry, GitHub registry, even Docker Hub right now. So every single registry supports custom OCI media types. And that's the best way. I mean, I'm definitely imagine the amount of money you'll pay to get 100 kilobytes of YAML if you have to download gigabytes of repo for nothing. It's like it's really insane. I mean, people should not be doing that.
and this is actually a prelude to your Gitless Flux, right? Start moving what's important to you into an OCI image, and then use the OCI layers to manage whatever source or resources that you're looking for. I like that idea.
So there is a command in the Flux CLI called Flux push artifact. So let's say you have this huge repo, and in there, somewhere in there, you have I don't know, Kubernetes or deployment directory where you have your YAMLs, right? You do Flux push manifest of that directory, and Flux bundles that as an OCI artifact, which is very small. It only contains the YAMLs, and it pushes that to whatever registry you have. Then on the server side, instead of a Git repo, you use an OCI repo, and it looks the same. It acts the same in a way. You can use tags, semver, make Flux upgrade, image automation to bump the version when you do a new major release and stuff like that. So
I'm familiar with the OCI repository. I worked with you on that. So yeah, no, definitely, I'd like to have more people pushed using the OCI repository and migrate away from other previous models. So yeah, no, okay. Yeah, you answered my question. Thank you.
Any other things?
That seems to be the end of what's on the agenda for today. Unless anyone has any other thing last minute to bring up.
Anything related to Google Summer of Docs? I think this is the first meeting after we got selected, right?
That's true. We should probably talk about Google Summer of Docs, but without Daniel here, we're all probably going to be a bit mystified about what to do next. So the state right now, I believe, is we
got accepted.
we got accepted, and we're greeting people as they come and figuring out what rules there are for how we interview. Go
I
ahead,
think
Stefan.
there is already a plan in place on how the whole process works. I think that it's also documented. Anyway, let's talk about this after KubeCon. We'll cancel the Flux meeting during KubeCon. And when we get back, we'll also have Tamao here, which she will take. She's also involved in the docs project, and she can explain more to us.
That's the next Flux meeting, right? Not next week, but the week after. It's canceled for KubeCon. Okay.
So let's add an agenda item to talk about the docs project and Google Summer of Code after KubeCon. I don't know when is the first.
Isn't KubeCon next to next week? Not next week?
That's
So
right.
next week we'll have a meeting, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's what I meant to say, if that's not what I said. Next week we'll be here for a meeting, and then the following week is KubeCon.
Yeah, but probably everybody, I don't know. Me and Hidel will probably be working on KubeCon things next week. So, but yeah, by all means, please meet and talk. I will probably not be here next week for this meeting.
Okay. Sounds good. I think
Okay.
that's it then. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks everyone, and I really appreciate all the help with getting Flux released. It was major team effort.
Exciting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Bye.
All right. Happy Easter.